How is everybody doing? Hope you're well. I'm going to get straight into this one because there's a lot to cover. This is Elton John on vinyl from 1969, his debut here, Empty Sky. There was one that came out recently which was supposed to be his debut before this, from 1968 or 67. Regimental Sergeant Zippo. Did come out on vinyl, and I think it was mono or something, but I bought a CD with the stereo mix. Strange album in that I've listened to it 3 times and I still can't remember one track from it. That's very, very unusual. Maybe that was the reason they never released it back then. But Empty Sky, this is from 1969. This one was kind of a sleeper. Wasn't very big at the time. All songs written by Elton and Bernie. Elton was signed to Dick James. That was his music publisher for most of the early 70s. This one has Empty Sky. It's not bad, you know, it's entertaining enough, but it has got nothing of the greatness that came after. Skyline Pigeon, that's a good song. You know, the elements are in here, but you know, it's still a bit. Yeah, it's not bad, you know. It's not an amazing album. It's good, you know. The talent is here. This is a German pressing. I only got this recently because I have the US pressing of this for a while, and it was only released in the US in 1975. 75, funny enough. Yeah, so yeah, that's it. That's Empty Sky. Like I said, that's where it started really with Elton. And this is the US pressing, just as I have it here. Totally different artwork. Same tracks. And different picture on the back. The record company is in MCA. There you go, that's it. Not a bad cover really. Elton John, Self-Titled. This is from 1970. This was the album that gave him his first hits, and it's a pretty good album. Subtle in some ways. There are all the players on it here. Paul Buckmaster was did some string arrangements, some great stuff here. Gus Dudgeon, he was the producer of Elton up to the mid-70s. Great producer. Taupin was the lyricist. Caleb Key, he was guitar player. Steve Brown, producer. Diana Lewis, singer. And here we go. This one has Your Song on it, probably one of his most famous songs. Need You to Turn To. That's a great track as well. Folky, you know. Take Me to the Pilot. Nice bit of gospel on that one. What else is on here? Border Song. I really like that as well. It's a great track. King Must Die, The Cage, Greatest Discovery. Yeah. This is Dick James. These pressings are great. If you put them up to a lamp, up to the sun, they go all different colours. They're burgundy, ruby, orange colours. Yeah, they're fantastic, and they sound really good as well. Even when they're tattered, they still sound fantastic. Yeah, so that's Elton, the second album. Tumbleweed Connection. This is from 1971. This is one of my favourites. Really like this one. This is a concept album. It's kind of based on the American West, but strangely enough, this is a train station in England somewhere. This was written. The songs are written when Bernie and Elton were dreaming of going to America. They'd never been, but looking at the album cover, you would think that they were there. This is nice. There's some good songs on it as well. It's one of his least, let's say, successful albums in terms of singles and stuff like that, but it's got some fantastic stuff on it. The kind of downbeat style reminds me of The Band. You know, obviously an influence. Ballad of a Well-Known Gun, that's a great track. Son of Your Father, that's a good one. A Marina, Country Comfort. Burn Down the Mission, that's a great track. My Father's Gun, that's one of my favourites. Really, really good. You'll notice here as well that the musicians are session musicians. I think that a lot of them were used by Dick James. The core Elton John band of Dee Murray, Nigel Olsson, and Davy Johnson. They're not around yet, even though Dee Murray and Nigel play on some of these tracks. They're still not the core band. So yeah. Yeah, it's a great album. It sounds great as well. I love these old recordings. I didn't buy any of the new John pressings because I just don't like the sound quality. The old ones, they still sound better than anything today. There you go. It's a uni. It's a US pressing. I found it very hard to get one with the UK pressing for the right price. Yeah, but this one is certainly, yeah, it's kind of a, like I said, it's a hidden gem. It's not one of his most talked about or anything like that, but it has some great songs on it. And it's a very enjoyable listen. Next up is Friends. I only picked this up recently. This was a soundtrack to a movie. Yeah, it was never released on the Dick James label, as far as I know, and it's never come out on compact disc officially. It has been re-released recently again on, I think, marble pink vinyl or something like that. It's like a soundtrack. There's some songs and some instrumentals on it, orchestra and stuff like that. And I've never seen the movie, I don't know much about it, but it's songs by Elton John and Bernie Taupin. And yeah, so yeah, it's okay, you know what I mean. Yeah, the strings and stuff are kind of based on themes from some of the songs, and that's it really. This one I only got recently, in excellent condition. US, I think it's ABC Records. Oh, it's made in UK actually. Yeah. But just a collector's item to have. Yeah, he has performed a couple of the songs of this album over the years. But, it's kind of a lost gem in the catalogue. Next up is 17th, 1170. This is fantastic. It really is a good album, and it's just him with Dee Murray on bass and Nigel Olsson on drums, live in a studio. It was broadcast live, I think, at the time. It was done in A&R Recording Studios, New York. It sounds fantastic. It was released on compact disc properly, I think, in the mid-90s. The Gus Dudgeon classic albums, but the track listing was changed around a little bit. There was more tracks from this. It's a pity that it wasn't fleshed out a bit more, but what's here is fantastic. Yeah, really, really is good. This is pretty old, this one. But it sounds fantastic. I mean, there's even a little bit of crackle, but it's still Dick James here. I bought this actually, and it was a bit grimy and it sounded terrible, and then I gave it a good clean, and it just blew me away. Yeah, and as well as that, it's not even that. I mean, Nigel Olsson is a great drummer, but Dee Murray's bass lines, and he really, really, he's an underrated bass player. You know, he really. You got to hear this. This is as raw as you're going to get. Very enjoyable. Very enjoyable. Crank it up loud. It's like the band are inside in the room. Madman Across the Water. Yeah, this one I always felt that side 1 is very strong and side 2 less so. Yes, Tiny Dancer was on this, that's a huge hit. It even got more popular in the last decade. I think it was used in some TV show or something. Live On, that's another great track as well. Razor Face, that's not bad. And then you have The Amazing Madman Across the Water. I really like that track. Then side 2 has Indian Sunset. I think there was a part of that sampled in some hip hop track. Yeah, I never liked when they do that. Holiday Inn, Rotten Peaches, all the nasties. It kind of grows in you. It's just kind of, yeah, it doesn't catch on as much. This one is nice as well. And you have this little booklet inside here. Attached. There's a lot of imagination went into these. Yeah. This has been reissued again recently as a box set. It's usually kind of demos and radio sessions. You don't really need it. I bought the compact disc. There's no way I'm going to go out and buy the vinyl. It sounds fantastic even as it is. But yeah, it's like I said, from the early days it wouldn't be his best, but it's still not a bad album. Honky Chateau. Yeah, it's not bad. There's some good tracks on it. It's by no means my favourite Elton John album. Got a picture stuck on here. The band seemed to be formed on this one. I know they weren't on Madman, the one before it. You've Nigel Olsson drums, Dee Murray bass, then Davy Johnson is on guitar here. And the tracks, Honky Cat, that's not bad, kind of show tune. Mellow, I Think I'm Gonna Kill Myself, Susie. Rocket Man, one of his best songs, this is fantastic. It's on here. Salvation, Slave, Amy, Mona Lisa's and Mad Hatters, that's a great track. And Hercules, I think there's a nickname for Elton John, Elton Hercules. It's an unusual kind of sleeve. This is pretty old, I think you can tell by the wrapper here, but you know, the Dick James vinyl is from the 70s, is thick, has fantastic sound. If you want analog, just go for the Dick James stuff. Forget about anything else that came after that, because yeah, you'll probably be disappointed. I don't know. I just think that these were from the days of vinyl production and they sound great. Don't Shoot Me, I'm Only the Piano Player. It's another good album. Yeah, it's quite, it's getting more commercial at this stage. The songs are catchier. The writing is quite serious. I love the artwork as well. It's got some nice stuff in here. Daniel is on this. Teacher, I Need You. Elderberry Wine. Blues for My Baby and Me. That's another great track as well. What else is on this? Crocodile Rock. Have Mercy on a Criminal, Texan Love Song. Yeah, it's another good one. One of the classics. There you go. This is an Australian press actually, because when I was living in Australia, there was this record shop in Melbourne called Batman Records, and these were like something like $4, so I'd go down on a day off, a Thursday, stuff like that, and I just end up picking up $50 worth of records at a shite load. Go home and skin up a nice joint and relax and sit down and listen to some cool music. A couple of bottles of beer. Yeah, really cool. I think in here it's probably the date I bought it, knowing me. Let's check it out. 23rd of July 97. Oh, actually this came from a Russian shop in St Kilda in Melbourne. There you go. But I bought a lot from Batman as well. Next up is Elton's, it's his best album really. It's his most ambitious and it's his best. Goodbye, Yellow Brick Road. This was a blockbuster. Really is. Released in 1973. It kicks off with The Amazing, Funeral for a Friend instrumental that goes into a full-blown song. It's just incredible. And Candle in the Wind is another great track. Benny and the Jets, that's another good one. And then side 2, Goodbye Yellow Brick Road, great track. The song is not titled. Grace Seal, Jamaica Jerk Off, I've seen that movie too. All great. Cinematic themes and stuff. Sweet Painted Lady, Ballad of Danny Bailey, Dirty Little Girl, All the Girls of Alice, Your Sister Can't Twist, She Can Rock and Roll, Saturday Night's All Right for Fighting, Roy Rogers, Social Disease, and Harmony. Yeah, it really is a great album. This is a UK pressing. It's a trifold. There's cool artwork on it. The band here, Davy Johnson guitar, Dee Murray bass, Nigel Olsen drums, Bernie lyrics, and Elton. Yeah, this is a big selling album. There's tons and tons of different versions. I had a Back to Black version and I never liked the sound of it. This is, I've seen them in all different colours, like silver, yellow. There's a yellow vinyl version as well, and I think that came out in 1978. A lot of people say it's from 73, but I don't think it is. I'm sure it's 78. It has yellow labels on it as well, and even the Dick Janes at the time had yellow labels. So it's most likely 1978. One of these is yellow, you see. I've seen this a lot. So there you go. That's Goodbye Yellow Brick Road. Superb in all ways. And let's just put the... Yeah, when I put the LP up to the light, it goes a kind of a ruby colour. Looks fantastic. These ones are, these are the ones to buy. Don't buy the new ones. I know there's another version from around 7 or 8 years ago, but get these. This is, this vinyl is mint. The sleeve is just kind of in good condition. It's a little bit crinkly. But I bought this from Record Sale DE. I think they're in Germany and Holland. It wasn't cheap, mind you, but there's hundreds of versions on Discogs. But to get one with the vinyl in good nick, this was the best part of $25. So it's a very common, very popular album, but even an old one is going to cost you a good bit. So yeah, if you want an old one, you're going to have to pay out for it, and that's it. I mean, you can buy one for €5, but it won't be good. It'll be just good maybe, and it'll be crackly and everything, because this was popular back then and was played to death. This is one you need. You have to hear Funeral for a Friend. You have to hear it. Turn it up very loud and enjoy it. Next up is Lady Samantha. This was released in 1974 in the UK only on cassette and 8-track. The vinyl wasn't released until 1980 as far as I know. The CD came out in 1988. This was released on Dick James Music. Obviously by 1980 Elton was gone from that label. It's just a collection of odds and sods, and you know, it's of note to collectors. Most of the stuff on this, I think all of it came out eventually on the there's some, what was it, the Rare Masters collection or something like that. But yeah, all the stuff is easy to get, but it's nice to have it on this. It's got some live tracks and some B-sides and stuff like that. Rock and Roll Madonna, that's live. Whenever You're Ready, We'll Go Steady Again. That was from an EP. Yeah, so material is really from around 1969 up to 74, obviously. Yeah, so there. This one, I only bought this recently. I had it on cassette actually, but this is UK press, but it's in excellent condition. It's feels brand new. I think I got it from some seller in some Denmark or somewhere, I can't remember. But it's in mint condition. It's ridiculous. It looks brand new. Caribou. This one, it's not bad. It's entertaining enough. There's a few clangers on it. Yeah, there's a few clangers on this one. You've got the bitches back. Pinky, Grimsby, Dixie Lily, Sola Prestige, Agamon. It's just made up out of words that it sounds French, but it's actually not. It's just gobbledygook. You're so static. I've seen a saucer stinker. Don't let the sun go down on me. Can't argue with that. One of his biggest hits. And Ticking. That's not bad either. Core band again here. Dee Murray, Davy Johnson, Nigel Olsson. It's called Caribou because it was recorded in Caribou Ranch, as far as I know, is it? We've Ray Cooper here as well on percussion. He played an important part of the Elton John story. Caribou is in Colorado, as far as I know, the Rockies. Studio out in the middle of nowhere. I just got mixed up there. I thought it was just called Caribou for the laugh because he did record some stuff there. Rock of the Westies was recorded there, but another Dick James. Oh, nice. Rose tinted glasses. But yeah, it's not bad. Like I said, it sounds great. Dick James. Next up is Captain Fantastic and the Brown Dirt Cowboy. Kind of concept album. It kind of dates back to how they started writing and what they did. So it's about themselves really, and it's very strong, far stronger than Caribou. It's probably as strong as Yellow Brick Road. I think it's easily as strong as Yellow Brick Road. Here's the band again. Ray Cooper is quite funny. He's a percussionist. You've probably often seen him in the Princess Trust concerts, banging away like a chimpanzee. Again, this one is an Australian pressing, and 6th of the 697. Northcote. I was living in Northcote. I bought that in some second-hand shop. There was one. Yeah, there was. See, there was loads of record shops in Australia, in Melbourne. So like everywhere you went, there was a record shop. You know, second-hand stuff. There was paradise. This one has got some artwork and stuff. A huge poster here of the album itself, which is quite nice. If you're into that kind of stuff. Yeah. There's the lyrics. And it's the house, I think, that they lived in, when they started writing. There's even a comic as well. So this is quite nice. So a lot to go through. Yeah, there you go. Elton, I think, was just going to marry a woman back then, and he was rescued by his friends. And I think that's where someone saved my life tonight. Came out of that. But yeah, it's quite funny. He did marry a woman in February 1984 in Australia. Renate Bloll. She was a tape operator that worked on his albums in the early 80s. He was German. He married her and they were married for 4 or 5 years. But yeah, it's kind of sad really. She kind of lived in the house and he kind of kept going and did his own thing. But this album, Captain Fantastic, kind of country style track. Tower of Babel, Bit of Fingers, 10 Minute Whistle Blows, Someone Saved My Life Tonight. It's just a great album. The songs are all strong. Gotta Get Me a Meal Ticket, Better Off Dead. That sounds like something off the first Queen album. Writing, We All Fall in Love Sometime. Curtains. Yeah, this is classic Elton John, and Yeah, recorded at Caribou again, Colorado. Remixed by Gus Dudgeon and Phil Dunn at the Marquee Studios, London. Yeah, this is essential. Yeah, everybody needs to have this one. This is one of the essential Elton John albums. Next up is Rock of the Westies. Mid-70s. This is a kind of a slip in, we'll say, songwriting quality anyway. It's a bit, treads water a little. Sounds fantastic though. It really does sound good. The quality is good. Starts off with a medley. Yell Help, Wednesday Night, Ugly, and Dan Dare, Island Girl. That's a great track. Kind of almost Philly soul disco kind of style. Yeah. Grow Some Funk of Your Own. Yeah, the whole thing kind of feels a little bit forced. I feel like a bullet in the gun of Robert Ford. That kind of harks back to early Elton John. It's kind of it's kind of, Robert Ford was the guy who shot Jesse James. It kind of harks back to the kind of Wild West, using that as a metaphor for a love song. Street Kids, Hard Luck Story, Feed Me, Billy Bones and the White Bird. Yeah, it's, like I said, it's not as strong as by any means at all, but there's kind of jokes here about each one. You've got Davy Johnson. He's a real rock star. Ray Cooper. He's so funny. Yeah, he's a really cool guy. Bernie must have had some fun. He was along for the ride. Here we have got James Newton Howard. He arranged the strings on this. He also worked with Toto and people like that. Kettle is back here. Roger Pope on drums. Again, he was in the early band before Nigel and Dee. They're not on this. Some management changes and But there you go. There you go, there's custom labels on this one. This is still a Dick James album, but that was the change. I think he was finished with Dick James after this. Around this time as well, he released Don't Go Breaking My Heart. This was a duet with Kiki D. That was a big hit. We've got the lyrics in here. So yeah, that's it. So yeah, Rock of the Westies. Yeah, it's not bad, but it's not. When you're listening to it, you kind of think, oh, I could be listening to Yellow Brick Road or Tumbleweed. That's how I feel about this. Here and There. This is a live album, I guess, released after his contract with Dick James finished. It's only okay. The vinyl doesn't really do it much good. It was released on compact disc properly back in '95, I think. And the shows are fleshed out. You have live in London at the Royal Festival Hall, and then you have live in New York at Madison Square Garden. But this album only has 9 tracks or something. It gets very short. The CD is better because it has the tracks with John Lennon on it. This is only okay. Plus the fact as well, it's, like I said, one is recorded in England. The other one is recorded in the States. Oh yeah. It's an incredible drum kit. Les Paul with 3 pickups. For excessive overdrive rock. There you go. This is pretty tattered. I think I picked this up years ago. It looks like it's been run over by a truck. Still plays, but it's pretty tattered. It's a shame this wasn't a double LP. I think definitely it deserved to be a double. The compact disc has I think more or less the full concerts, and they sound great. So yeah, I'd probably avoid this on vinyl. If you get a mint copy or whatever, but the CD has everything on it that you need. So there you go. But it has, in the New York concert, Funeral for a Friend, Love Lies Bleeding. It's one of the best tracks he's ever recorded, and it's a masterpiece. So yeah. Blue Moves. This is a sprawling double from 1976. This was released on Rocket Records. This was his own label that he set up. With the train on it. It's a big album, you know. I think it's too long, but there's some good stuff on it. You know, the production is fantastic. Really sounds good. It's kind of cutting edge for the time, I'd say. Your starter 4, that's just an instrumental, and then you have Tonight, which is kind of a string-laden ballad with Elton's pleading voice. I think he was quite depressed at the time, you know, he was sick of showbiz and stuff. Then you have One Horse Town, that's one of the best songs he's ever written. I absolutely love that track. Then Chameleon, not bad, but it just drags on a little bit. Then you got Boogie Pilgrim, kind of a funk track. It reminds me of the band again. And then Cage the Songbird, I think that's about Edith Piaf. Crazy Water, that's not bad. And then Shoulder Holster, that's not great. Yeah, it's not great. There's the band again. Torpin laughing. I think at the time, One Horse Town, I think it's about him going to a dry out clinic. That's the Rocket label there, it looks nice. Again, I think that's an Australian present. Yeah, I think it was a dry out clinic somewhere, I'm not sure. One Horse Town, there was out in the middle of nowhere, so there was no distractions, so he could quit the booze. Then the second LP has Sorry Seems to Be the Hardest Word. That was a big track. Out of the Blue. It's an instrumental. I like that actually. It's good. Between 17 and 20. It's not bad. There's another one, Wide Eyed and Laughing. That's a bit kind of strange, kind of Indian sitar in the background. And then you have Someone's Final Song in a piano ballad. And then where's the Shirah? I don't really like that. Kind of a gospel track. If There's a God in Heaven. Yeah, kind of at this stage the album's dragging a little. Idol. That's a brilliant track, yeah. Very, very good. About somebody rising to the top and failing, you know, going out. I've gone from riches to rags. And then we have Theme from Non-Existent TV Series, Bite Your Lip, Get Up and Dance. Again, that's very long and it's kind of full-on disco track. I don't really like it. I just think it's too much, you know. I think I found this in an arcade or something, you know, a market in Adelaide, Australia, March 97, and I think I paid $2 for it. Yeah, there you go. Excellent value for money. In 77, I think Elton decided he was retiring from music, and he disappeared around that time. He was doing little bits and pieces and stuff like that. I think at one stage he did a gig at a school for charity somewhere in England. But he kind of kept a low profile. He said he was retiring, he said he was getting out of the business. But in 1978 we have a single man changing of the guard here, because songs are no longer written by Taupin. He had teamed up with Gary Osborne. So yeah, they're different. The lyrics were no longer from Taupin, obviously. Shine On Through, that's not bad. Return to Paradise, it has kind of a mariachi thing on it. It's nothing special, but it sounds nice. The songs are quite melodic. I Don't Care, it's kind of throwaway. Big Dipper, it's kind of a, as somebody said one time, it's like the musical equivalent of a McGill postcard. You know, Big Dipper, you know, and it's got gay connotations and stuff as well, so it's quite funny. It Ain't Gonna Be Easy, I really like that one. You know, there you go, Hilton is, whatever that is, I don't know what it is. It's a fancy looking motor for the time. There you go. Side 2, Part-Time Love, that was a big hit in Georgia. The gospel again, Shooting Star, it's not bad. Madness, again that harks back to early stuff, and then Reverie and Song for Guy, that's a beautiful instrumental, and it really is a very nice piece of music. Written for Guy Burgess, who was I think 16 or 17 year old motorcycle courier that used to go between the record companies. He was a messenger or something like that. He was killed in a motorcycle accident, so it's quite sad. But Song for Guy is fantastic, and you know, as a mere instrumental, it's really, really good. So that's Single Man. He was back in. This album was quite successful, and it sounds really good as well. You know, it's got a great sound to it. Live from Moscow, 1979. This was a BBC recording, but it was also made into a documentary. It was released in, I think, back in 79 or something like that. But this one was released in 2019. It's a double LP. It's just Elton on his own on piano, accompanied by Ray Cooper. The documentary is quite funny, interesting, but you don't get full performances. With this, you get the whole thing. So this, like I said, it wasn't released in 79 at all in any musical form, but it belongs in 1979. So yeah, this is quite. I enjoyed it. You know, I bought the CD. This isn't even open. It's a gatefold. I haven't even removed the plastic yet. But as far as I know, you have side one. The first half is just Elton on his own playing most of his hits, just with a grand piano, and then the second one has got Ray Cooper on percussion. And yeah, I like it. I really like it. He's got two pianos. He's got a grand piano and he's got a Yamaha CP70, and that goes through effects as well at some stage because it's electric. It's a good album. I like it. There's a nice selection of material. Yeah, so we're tracking down. The reason I didn't open this is because I bought the CD and then I bought the vinyl as an afterthought. I'm kind of glad I did, because these things disappear. It's nice to have them. The Complete Tom Bell Sessions. This was a Record Store Day release. And I had the CD, but I decided to get the vinyl because it's pretty cool. It was released on vinyl back in 79, and I think as a 3-track 12-inch, and then in 89 when the CD came out it was also released, I think, as the 6-track, just like this. But I think they've Are You Ready for Love has been remixed or something like that. Yeah, it's the album was recorded in autumn 77, remixed January 79, and it's pretty cool. It's got the Philly soul thing going on. The Spinners are the band on this one, but the vinyl is absolutely cool. Look at that. It is beautiful. Rocket Record Company. I love the train logo. You've got lilac platter. Yeah, you should try and get this if you're a fan. Yeah, because once this goes, it's going to become expensive. And yeah, it's certainly worth having. Again, 1979. That's kind of when it was released as a 3-track, so I decided it would fit here in the discography. Victim of Love. This is also from 1979. This is the worst Elton John album. Maybe Leather Jackets would give it a run for its money, but this is Elton waking up one morning and going, I need hits, I want to join the disco movement. That he did, and it was produced by Peter Bellotte. I think you're not going to believe this, but it kicks off with Johnny Be Good. And yeah, it's actually quite funny to listen to. And then we've got Warm Love in a Cold World, Born Bad, Thunder in the Night, Spotlight, Street Boogie, Victim of Love. All the songs seem to seeg into each other. Yeah. I even bought this on the remastered CD, and it does apologise for it being Elton's worst album or something like that. So yeah, this is very forgettable. You pick it up probably for about 20 cents or whatever the hell. It's just a collection filler and absolute, it's nonsense, and you know, it's hard to listen to without kind of saying to yourself, hang on, am I going to waste 40 minutes on this when there's other Elton John albums that are superior to it? You decide. Okay, so 21 and 33. It was his 21st album at the age of 33 in 1980. There's obviously counting compilation albums and stuff like that. I don't really have any of the 70s compilations. I know there's Greatest Hits 1 and 2. You see them around the place. They're usually worn to pieces, tattered. This one, yeah, like I said, going into 80s now. Quality, again, he's only writing with Taupin the odd time. Probably picking out all lyrics and stuff like that, but it's usually different writers. Gary Osborne, although funny enough now this one has Chasing the Crown, that's Taupin. Little Genie, that's Gary Osborne. Sartorial Eloquence, they're probably the two best songs on the album. Tom Robinson co-wrote that, and then Two Rooms is another Taupin. The Two Rooms thing comes from the fact that they're kind of writing from a distance. He kind of post them lyrics and stuff like that. Elton was somewhere in another part of the world from Taupin. White Lady, that's another Taupin track, yeah. And Dear God, Gary Osborne and Elton. Never Gonna Fall in Love, that's a Tom Robinson track with Elton. I think he released that back in '88, a faster version, Tom Robinson. Take Me Back is Gary Osborne, and then we have Give Me the Love, Elton John, and Judy Duke. I think he signed her to his Rocket label. This isn't bad, it kind of plods along a little bit. Yeah. Again, he's got plenty zest on the vocals and stuff like that. But it's not his best album by any means. Yeah. Fox. This is from 1981. Again, some of these sessions were recorded. I think in Super Bear, Nice, around 79, 80. This is a good album. It's one of my favourites. Again, this one didn't do very well at the time, but it's a lot better than what came before it and what came immediately after it. Songs on this are very strong, and I really liked them. Breaking Down the Barriers, Heart in the Right Place, Just Like Belgium. That was a single, didn't really go anywhere, but still a great track. Nobody Wins, that's done with a Lynn drum and it sounds awful. Then you Fascist Faces, that's brilliant, and it's got Reverend James Cleveland doing a kind of a narration near the end, and then you've got the amazing Carla Etude fanfare Chloe. That's probably the highlight here, and it's certainly worth having. It does hark back to Tonight from 1976 on Blue Moves. Then Heels of the Wind, Elton's song. That's another brilliant song. I think the video was banned because it shows boys in a college and one guy fancies another guy, he looks up to him. Then you got the Fox as well. So it is a very good album. Yeah, I really like this one. There's your Rocket. I have 2 copies of this. This is for the French market. Nobody Wins is called Je vous la... No. Je vous la tendresse. So yeah. Here you go. Maybe the inner is in this, yeah. The French lyrics. And I think there's another one as well from the sessions. Like they were written with Jean-Paul Drew, or Drew, whatever. So there you go. So that's the Fox. Yeah, I think it's an artistically good album. Commercially, it was a failure. Not that he cared, he was still one of the biggest stars in the world. Jump Up. This is from 1982. Features the single Blue Eyes, which is very good. It's one of the best Osborne tracks, along with Part-Time Love. Opens up with Dear John, totally unmemorable. Then Spiteful Child, it's not great either. Then you got Ball and Chain. That's the first 3 tracks actually don't go anywhere. It's like, oh god. Then you have Legal Boys. That's a great track about a divorce. I think their lyrics are from Tim Rice. You know him from Andrew Lloyd Webber fame. And then probably the worst Elton John song of all time, well, worst one I know of, is I Am Your Robot. like, and that's sandwiched in between Legal Boys and Blue Eyes, which is two of his best. I Am a Robot should have not been released. I'm sorry. There's another song from these sessions, I think, called The Retreat. This should have been on here instead, you know. And then side 2 is where things get really good, because side 2 is brilliant. Empty Garden, Hey Hey Johnny. It's about John Lennon. It's one of his best songs. Really good. Princess, it's not bad either. Where Have All the Good Times Gone? That's another great, you know, I could imagine the Four Tops singing that. And then the majestic All Quiet on the Western Front. It's about World War One. Great track. Jeff Caribou from Toto plays on this. Elton really liked Toto at the time. They were quite big, their Toto 4 album. So yeah, them all scooped in here. Richie Zito on guitars. Dee Murray's on bass again, yeah. So there you go, let's jump up. Yeah, it's only half good. Next up is a compilation from 1982. This has a different cover as well, different territories, but just love songs. Good selection though, in fairness. Yeah. Just came out in CD back then as well, and it sounds fantastic. But this one has just got Blue Eyes, Little Ginny, Sartorial Elegance, Shine On Through, Chloe Elton's Song Tonight, Song for Guy, Sorry Seems to Be the Hardest Word, Princess, Chameleon, Return to Paradise, Never Gonna Fall in Love Again, Strangers, Someone's Final Love Song. Quite on the Western Front. So yeah, it's nothing special really. TV records, I thought I'd throw it in there. Next up is Too Low for Zero. Without a shadow of a doubt, this is his best album of the 80s. Strong songs, strong writing. Again, it's just a classic Elton album, and definitely one for the collection. He was back writing with Bernie Taupin. They decided to say, okay, let's do it, let's write songs. No co-writers. So they came up with a great album, Cold as Christmas, fantastic. I'm Still Standing, that's a huge hit. Too Low for Zero, great track. Religion, great album track. I really like that one. And then we have, I guess that's why they call it The Blues, that was a big hit in 83. Crystal, another cracker. And Kiss the Bride, that's not bad. Whipping Boy, I don't really like that. Then Saint isn't bad, and then One More Arrow. That's about some guy who I think probably died of cancer or something like that. And it's a nice album, yeah. But it's a rocket on that one. It's essential, really. It's if you like 80s Elton, this is probably one of the best. It's a very good album. I had this on cassette when I was only about 13 or 14. A recorded cassette, and I wore that out, and yeah, I love this album. This is a great album. Next up is Breaking Hearts. It's only okay. 1984 again. All Taupin pen songs. Restless, just kind of throwaway. Slow Down Georgie, She's Poison, that's throwaway. Who Wears These Shoes? I think that was a single. It's only alright. Breaking Hearts Ain't What It Used to Be. That's nice. Piano ballad. You know, that's his forte really. And then Little Refrigerator. That's terrible. And then Passengers. That's not bad. You know, it's kind of got this kind of. Yeah, it's an unusual kind of song. Yeah. And then In Neon. That's another great track. Could have been on any of his 70 albums. Burning Buildings. Did He Shoot Her? It's only okay. Then Sad Song, Say So Much. Again, that's a big one. It's a big hit. Still played in concerts and stuff. This was in 1984, the year he got married to Renate. Here's the core Elton John band are back here. Yeah, custom made. But yeah, this, you know, I don't really listen to it that much. You know, it's a disappointment after Too Low for Zero. Next up is Ice on Fire. This is from 1985. This is a great sounding album. I think it was a digital recording at the time. This tone, yeah, kicks off with that. It's quite good. Quite a Heaven, Soul Glove, Nikita, that was a big hit from this, and Too Young. Wrap Her Up, it features George Michael. I don't really like it. They just name out all these women and stuff. It's a tribute to famous women and stuff, but the song itself isn't great. Satellite. I don't mind that. It's, yeah, tell me what the papers say. Candy by the Pound, Shoot Down the Moon. This was produced by Gus Dudgeon, who hadn't produced Elton for a long time, up to that point. He was Chris Thomas, people like that. Too Young has drums by Roger Taylor, bass by John Deacon from Queen. Just thought I'd say that. Yeah, there's some stellar musicians on this. There's a lot of session musicians. Dave Python on bass, a great bass player. Yeah, it's not bad. It's not bad. In fact, I have not much to say about it. Means it's not great. It's kind of, everything into the doldrums of the 80s, where he was kind of more interested in hanging out with the royal family and making good music. Okay, Leather Jackets. This is his worst album of the 80s and one of his worst of all time. Even the cover sucks. This was released in 86, and look at that. The band are all kitted out in macho leather biker gear. They must have been, you know, going, oh god. Leather Jackets, Hoop of Fire, Don't Trust That Woman, Go It Alone, Gypsy Heart. These are all unmemorable songs. They kind of rock a little bit. Yeah. Slow Rivers on side 2. That's a duet with Cliff Richard, and that is probably the best track on the whole album. Then you've Heartache All Over the World, Angeline, Memory of Love, Paris, I Fall Apart. Yeah, it suffers again from 80s production, you know, with pitch-black drums and yeah, it's just woeful. Yeah. Again, it was produced by Gus Dudgeon. I mean, Dudgeon is a great producer. I mean, you know, like I said, it brings out the best of Elton, but this is a clanger, and certainly, you know, worth burying and put it on the back shelf and forget about it. Live in Australia with the Melbourne Symphony Orchestra. This is great, really is good. His voice was giving a lot of trouble at the time. He's quite hoarse in some songs, quite gruff. He had, I think, nodes on his voice. He had an operation, I think, the year after in 88, and his voice changed in, it got a little bit deeper. But yeah, he was in trouble, wear and tear. But this is great. This was also released on video. I have a DVD of it. It starts off, I think, with him and on piano with the orchestra, and then there's a band as well, but this album mixes the two together. Yeah, so 60 years on, I Need You to Turn to, The Greatest Discovery Tonight. Great choice of material. Side 2, Sorry Seems to Be the Hardest Word, The King Must Die, Take Me to the Pilot, Tiny Dancer. These songs are great live. Have Mercy on the Criminal, Madman Across the Water, Candle in the Wind. I think that was released as a live single from this. Burn Down the Mission, Your Song, Don't Let the Sun Go Down on Me. There's a great documentary about this on YouTube from around, in 86, and it's definitely worth watching. It's fascinating. There you go. Yeah, each label is different, but it's well worth tracking down. Yeah, it's good. And like I said, I had the CD for a long time. I just wanted to get the vinyl. Nice collector's piece. I think there's a box version of it as well. Comes in a kind of a box, just a hard box. That's all. But yeah, collector's edition. There might be a booklet or something within. I'm not sure. But yeah, this will do the job. Yeah. So it's a good live album if you can put up with his voice getting a bit gruff. But I like it like that. Reg Strikes Back. This is from '88. Again. Yeah, after the live one, this was a bit of a disappointment. This was all his stuff he put up for auction. Yeah, he had a case as well against the Sun that year, the newspaper, for slander and stuff like that. But this one, Town of Plenty, it's kind of Elton John by numbers. It's kind of forced, word in Spanish. Mona Lisa's Mad Hatter's Part 2. It's kind of an upbeat version of that song, but it's nothing like it. I Don't Want to Go On With You Like That. It was a big single from this. Yeah, the production's quite harsh. Japanese Hands. Again, It's Only Okay. Goodbye Marlon Brando. That's cheesy. The Camera Never Lies. Heavy Traffic. It's probably one of the most interesting tracks on it. And then Poor Cow and Since God Invented Girls. Mentions Brian Wilson. But produced by Chris Thomas. Recorded by Bill Price. Again, it's songs by Elton John and Taupin. If you had somebody imitating Elton John at karaoke, say, this is what it would sound like, you know. It's the typical you know, it's you know, everything sounds over the top. You know, I don't know why you do like I do. Yeah, it's yeah. Goodbye Marlon Brando. What would Marlon Brando think of this? He'd probably say, this is not your best album, Elton. I think you need to go and record something better. I know you can do it. Come back to me when you get a better album. Or else you're going to be sleeping with the faces. He did come back with a better album. This is from 1989, Sleeping with the Past. The songs are good on this. Production is a bit nicer than the one that came before it. Again, it kind of slipped out. It wasn't really popular at the time. But then, what was the song? Sacrifice. That was a single in 89. It flopped, and then he released it again in 1990 for AIDS charity, and it was #1 forever. But I like it. Durban Deep is on it. Healing Hands. That was a big hit then. Whispers. Club at the End of the Street. Sleeping with the Past. Yeah, they kind of went back to, you know, their inspirations. Stone's Throw from Hurton. I Never Knew Her Name. Amazes Me. Blue Avenue. They went back to their inspirations. You know, they're the great songwriters and stuff. They wanted to make kind of a Motown album, and it's not bad. You know, they did a good job. You know. All of a sudden, by 1990, it was like, you know, they were kind of held in high reverence. You know, all of a sudden it was like, okay, look, the 80s, Elton is rubbish, but all of a sudden it was like, yeah, you know what? He is fucking brilliant. And he is, you know, you can't deny that. I think that Elton John is up there with, as a performer, he's up there with Freddie Mercury easily. And Elvis, you know, there would be the top three, I think, of the greatest showman of all time. We come to the end of the line as far as Elton on vinyl goes with me. This is the very best of, released in 1990, and it's a great greatest hits. A great greatest hits. A great greatest hits. Yeah, it's got all this stuff on it that you need. Disc 1 has Rocket Man, Honky Cat, Crocodile Rock, Daniel, Goodbye Yellow Brick Road, Saturday Night's All Right for Fighting, Candle in the Wind, Don't Let the Sun Go Down on Me, Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, Philadelphia Freedom, Someone Saved My Life. Then side 3, record 2, Don't Go Breaking My Heart, Benny and the Jets, Sorry Seems to Be the Hardest Word, Song for Guy, Part-Time Love, Blue Eyes, I guess that's why they call it the blues. Then I'm Still Standing, Kiss the Bride, Sad Songs, Passengers, Nikita, Sacrifice, You Gotta Love Someone. That was just an on-album track. Yeah, I think this could have done without Kiss the Bride. You know, not really keen on that track. Just again, it just sounds a little bit, you know, formulated. But you know, pop this on, and it's all you need really. In the first, this was their first 20 years, I guess, 1969 to 90. 20 years, over 20 years. So, you know, all of a sudden they kind of. Yeah, he cemented his reputation forever. I mean, we forget how big that he actually was, you know? And he's still massive, you know? Still going strong. This is definitely worth having. This is absolutely mint. I picked it up there recently. I was looking for it for a while, just to have it. And it's a nice bookend to an Elton John collection on vinyl. This is 2 rooms celebrating the songs of Elton John and Bernie Taupin. Picked up this recently as well, and I just thought I'd throw it in here. It's a 16-track compilation of covers by other artists. This came out in '91, and it's not bad, you know. It's not bad. One of my favourites on it is Eric Clapton's version of Border Song. Very funky, very soulful. Kate Bush Rockin' Man, that's a bit strange. Yeah, the production is a bit... wouldn't be too gone on it. Sting, Come Down in Time, that's a lovely version. Very, very nice. Just piano, double bass, and Sting's amazing vocal. The Who, Saturday Night Sorry for Fighting. Yeah, that's a bit strange. I think there's a drum machine on it, which is very, very ironic coming from The Who. Just sounds very, very plastic. Beach Boys, Crocodile Rock, that's good. Wilson, Phillips, Daniel. And then Joe Cocker, Sorry Seems to Be the Hardest Word. John Bon Jovi, Leave On. Tina Turner, The Bitch Is Back. Hall & Oates, Philadelphia Freedom. Rod Stewart, Your Song. Olita Adams, Don't Let the Sun Go Down on Me. Bruce Hornsby, Madman Across the Water. This album's worth buying for that. It's a fantastic version, yeah, really good. Sinead O'Connor, Sacrifice. Phil Collins and the Serious Band, Burned on the Mission. Again, another cracker. George Michael, Tonight, that's live. In '91 as well, George and Elton duetted on Don't Let the Sun Go Down on Me, which was #1 forever. Forever and ever and ever. So yeah, this isn't bad. Like I said, it's a collector's item. And it's nice because they only have 4 songs on each side. So it's very nicely done, you know, it's not crammed like most. A lot of 80s vinyl, sorry, in the early 90s vinyl, late 80s was shocking when they came to compilations. They'd stuff a 60-minute album on a single disc. But yeah, I like this. Like I said, it's worth having as a collector's piece, but it's not essential. I mean, you can pick it up on CD pretty easy. But yeah, so there you go. That's Elton John on vinyl. I hope you like this video. If you do, feel free to subscribe and you know, make me famous, and you know, support me on Patreon, PayPal, whatever you want, if you feel that I'm worth your buck. If not, I don't care, and I will just sign off and say have a nice rest of your life. Thank you. Take care.